So, Chuck, let's just begin on a pardon checklist of questions. There's this question of, can you grant a preemptive pardon to someone who has not been accused of a crime, as happened with Richard Nixon? But the Richard Nixon pardon was never tested in court, so we never got an opinion on the validity of that pardon. Do we have in our history some other Supreme Court opinion on the validity of a pardon, a blanket pardon for someone who has not actually yet been accused of a federal crime?
No, but we have other precedents, Lawrence. It's a great question. Washington issued a preemptive pardon to those who partook in the Whiskey Rebellion. As you pointed out, President Ford issued a preemptive pardon to Richard Nixon. President Carter issued preemptive pardons to individuals who evaded the draft. And so while it hasn't been tested, we do have precedent.
And what about pardoning a business? Can the Trump company get a federal pardon?
That is such an interesting question. So let me answer it with about a 90% confidence interval, Lawrence. My surmise is that, yes, you can issue a pardon to a business organization. There are only two restrictions in the Constitution on the president's pardon power. It has to be for a federal offense, and it cannot be in a case of impeachment. Corporations can commit federal offenses. They can't be put in prison, of course, but they can be fined, they can forfeit property, they can be put on probation, they can be ordered to pay restitution to victims. So corporations can more or less be treated as individuals. So my surmise, my 90% confidence interval answer is, yes, you can issue a pardon to a business organization.
And it sounds to me, Chuck, like that is worth it for Donald Trump to issue the pardon to the company, let them spend, and if they got accused of federal offenses, let them spend a year in the appeals cycle with it and just buy a year of time. And the same thing with the Donald Trump self-pardon. Professor Tribe has convinced me that the Supreme Court would rule against him, but Donald Trump would see in that a minimum of a year delay of self-pardoning himself, so that would have to be litigated to the Supreme Court.
Sure, it would have to be litigated at the federal level. But again, remember, you cannot pardon, or at least the president cannot pardon, for a state offense. So while a business organization that received a pardon or a president that granted himself a self-pardon could litigate in federal court, it would have no value and no effect in a state prosecution. And we know that the Manhattan District Attorney, a state prosecutor, has out an open investigation of the Trump Organization and many people affiliated with it.
We see that challenge of, if you pardon Donald Trump Jr., he loses his Fifth Amendment rights. If you pardon your accountant, he loses his Fifth Amendment rights. Does Donald Trump, if he pardons himself, lose his Fifth Amendment rights?
Not entirely, at least not in my view, because, again, you have state criminal jeopardy. So when you talk about the Fifth Amendment, think of it in two different buckets. There's the federal bucket and the state bucket. And as long as he is still at least theoretically exposed in the state criminal system, he still has some vestiges of his Fifth Amendment privilege remaining. So I think you're quite right. You may lose it. It may be stripped in the federal context, but you could still assert it. And to your earlier point, Lawrence, and it's such an important one, by merely asserting it, you get to litigate it. Even if you lose in the end, you still get to litigate it, which means you're running the clock.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.